Hey guys, I'm Ali from Monsters and Critics, and today we're kicking off on Married at First Sight, where they know us me with Jacob Carter.
I feel like because we're married, you're putting way too much weight on like every little thing.
So, hi Jacob, I have a question. Do you watch the current season of Married at First Sight?
I do not. I see clips just from like the social media accounts like Mavs fan and those sorts of things.
So, before your season, you never really watched the show?
So the casting started,
Mhm.
I watched I think season 9 on Netflix. Then I watched some of the season 11 that was airing like right before we started, right before I got married, I guess. I think that was playing right around then. Yeah. And so that's all I really watched. And then I kind of watched our season, like this, with like one eye kind of um, cringing the whole time. And, yeah.
Why did you sign up for the experiment? Like, how did you hear about it? Why did you decide, yes, I want to do this?
Yeah. Well, so I didn't really know what it was. I was just on a dating site and they had sent me a message saying, we think you'd be perfect for this thing or whatever. We can't give you all the details, but if you'd be interested in applying. And this was right around when COVID was starting. And I thought it was like a phishing scam or something, because the way it like was a big paragraph of like, we love for this opportunity. I'm like, I just deleted it. I was like, I don't, that looks like crap. I don't, whatever. And so then the next day they emailed me, same message, said we're with, this, what I forget, it was like an agency, I think, that recruits for these shows. And as I was replying to the email to see if like, okay, well, maybe this is legit, they sent me a text message, like as I was literally typing the email. I was like, okay, these guys are serious. And but on my dating site, to be fair, I had I had like a Cyndi Lauper Pepsi shirt with like a beard, a necktie. I was at like an 80s concert. So it was like, necktie with no collar. And they probably saw that and go, okay, this guy's interesting or weird, and we'll see what he can bring to the table or whatever.
Yeah.
But so that was how I got sort of recruited into it. I didn't apply for it, which I would say would be better if most of the cast members were like that, right? Because you don't really want somebody that's just seeking to be on a reality show.
When you watch the season now, that's the only reason they're on it.
It's very hard for me to watch that show now too, especially because like once you've experienced it, you pick up on all the different things going on, but even like that normal people wouldn't see. And so then like I understand what that person's going through and it's not great. And so then like I feel bad for them and there's nothing they can say or do at the time. And still even to this day, like there's not a lot of things I can say about a lot of situations. And you just have to eat it. And Reddit is ruthless. Like everybody apparently has a mental disorder, is racist, a bigot, all of these things based off of 2-second little clips or something they'll look up and think the worst possible scenarios of all these things. And then like, how do you combat that? And even if you do combat it, what I've learned, and I knew this kind of beforehand probably, but you got to go through it to go through it, right? Like where if you try to have a reasonable conversation with a lot of these people that will come after you and criticize you, they don't want to hear it. And you're just wasting your time and they'll, deflect it into you being all these horrible things and you need therapy and like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, like, so it's tough. And that's why I don't watch it, to be honest with you. Cause it's like, I don't want to like say it's like traumatizing or this and that, but it takes you back to, at least my experience personally was I had a horrible experience. And so it would just kind of drag me through that experience again. And it's not something,
Yeah,
I'm
you don't wanna
seeking.
hear.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? I would have thought you would have gotten a lot of hate because you were loved on your season. Like you weren't the villain, so to speak.
It doesn't take much. Some people see things differently, right? And
Hmm.
which is fair. Like, I think everybody sort of molds their sort of reality based off their own experiences. So maybe they had an experience that made them see things differently. Maybe they see things the way Haley did, right?
Yeah.
I got a nasty message the other day from somebody. I don't get too many nasty messages, but she was telling me like why I'm going to be single for the rest of my life and like all of these things. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, and she didn't even follow me either. She just sought me out to send me this nasty message. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what sort of like stable, happy, right-minded person seeks somebody out to dog them and tell them that they're never going to be happy and like amount to anything. And I'm just like, I didn't respond, but I just thought to myself, these people need, they're the ones that need help. Or like, you're trying to like, I think there's like they don't want to look in the mirror type of thing, so they'll lash out at you. And there's just different reasons, I think. You look like you're enjoying yourself there.
It was a good day. The couple in the book didn't know what was coming.
Oh, that's a safe statement.
Jacob, your season is now on Netflix, I think.
Yes.
So there's going to be new people watching and they're going to be emotional all over again.
I've gotten feedback of that. We had like one of the wildest seasons since they've had.
And I've watched season 1. So I've been watching and it was crazy. It was one of the most dramatic seasons.
You know what's funny about a lot of that is outrageous. Like, and I don't mind bashing Chris because like he came after me on TV, like, and I didn't see any of it. So like he bashed me after the wedding, and was just like, oh, I think I'm happy for everybody except for Haley because she's stuck with Jake, or he said something along those lines. So I wasn't gonna like mingle with him at all.
Yeah.
But after he said that, I was like, okay, we can do that. And I started like, kind of going in on him. I could tell he was disingenuous in many ways. And so the circus wasn't surprising to me. What was surprising, they actually cut some stuff that would have made him look much worse. And I was like, where's the footage?
That's impossible.
No.
It could not possibly look worse.
No. So I'll give you some, I wasn't there for this, and probably a good thing because we would have gotten into it. I would have shut him up. But when they were in the van, I don't know if you remember in Vegas, and he was screaming at two of the girls in the van.
Yeah, I think it was Virginia. I knew he had a thing with Virginia at one point that she spoke of.
Virginia and Clara, because they were asking him questions about the situation, right?
Yeah.
So what the people don't know, that screaming went on for 45 minutes. And at one point, Paige pulled out a Bible, apparently, was reading scripture while he's screaming at him. And I was like, where is that? Because I wanted to see that. It's like, but there was no context that went on for 45 minutes. I would have made him pull the van over, and I'd have been.
He has to put this clip back into the one on it. We can't. Why are we doing this out?
I don't know. Well, they do need to make. I do not. The editors of that show, they have a hard job because we film so much, and there's only so much that can make the cut, right?
Right.
And they got to make us look entertaining. So a lot of times we're just kind of people, and especially like in my situation, I can only really speak to myself. I was miserable the entire time.
Oh no.
It was like the worst 8 weeks of my life. Like if you were to string together like a concise 8 weeks, that was like the worst 8 weeks of my life filming that show. And I was miserable, and it was tough. And so like when I get people coming to me, oh, you're so boring, you're this and that, it's like, that's about the best thing you can say to me while I was going through that, because I had to really focus on not losing my cool a lot of times and not being triggered. And then, the flip side of that is they'll criticize how Chris was acting out and doing all these crazy things, but it's like, well, that's what you want to see. And then you get upset when you don't see it to a degree like this season, right? So again, it's one of those things with reality TV. It's like, you're not going to win ultimately.
There's no winning in this.
No,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
I think some people apparently think it's worth it either way, just to get some TV time, especially now. But like, what part of it was just so miserable for you? Like, what made the experience, bad?
So I felt pretty trapped, and it had nothing to do with like production and everything going on, but like I knew Haley had zero interest in trying to like build anything.
Right.
Or try to like even have any sort of bond. Like we didn't really speak when cameras weren't around. She wasn't at the apartment much. I worked from home. I still work from home. So like I was at the apartment working all day. She would leave at 9 a.m. and come back right before cameras got there and then act like everything's normal. So like when you're not having conversations with somebody unless a camera's around and, going through that. And again, this is unbeknownst to production. Like, and I didn't bring this up, but like, stuff like that, you just knew to a degree she was faking it. And it was one of those things where I knew she was trying to gaslight me into like getting a reaction, so then she could like spin it onto me being this awful person who's passive aggressive in these things. But that was like the hardest part, because I knew she was being phony about the whole experience, and I couldn't really call it out. And even if I did, right, it's not like they're gonna. I would assume I didn't do this, but I would assume you're not going to air on TV that it's me saying, hey, she's being a fake phony, blah, blah, blah. They did air the one time I called her fake on camera. It was during the, what's that excursion? It's like the week 6 or something. It's like
Was that the honeymoon thing?
Yeah, we went to South Carolina.
Okay.
And they were doing a round table, and I just looked at her and said, well, hey, at least I'm not being fake. And that was like legitimately a gripe of mine, because I knew that, again, there was just nothing. And also, so to come full circle with that, it was the last day we filmed together. She gets up from the table, looks at me and says, oh, day 59 of 60 acting class is complete. But like every episode to her was an acting class, essentially. And she looked at me and says that. And I just said, "In the hell is wrong with, like, what is wrong with you?" You know what I mean? Like, and I honestly, I did try to quit the show, and it was like week 4. I had a conversation with production. It was a good conversation. Montre was like very open and honest, and we had a good conversation. I thought things might change a little bit after that. I think they changed for like 3 days. He had said that with me and Haley, and then like it just became the same toxic sort of situation. And you knew like nothing was developing there. So that was the worst part for me. Is like I knew there was nothing I could do about it too. And it was the season before that. The one gentleman had quit. He had the cats with the lady. I forget his name. I think it was Olivia was his wife, and they had the cats.
Yes, he was.
So
this is over it. Yeah.
Well, this is what kept me from like walking away completely, because I was almost ready to, and then they just aired the episode where he quit, in the episode after, where she kept coming back on and talking with the girls and interacting, and he was like gonzo, you know. So he had no voice. She had the voice.
Yeah.
And Haley had joked about filming with Paige. And kind of more because her and Chris at that point were done on the Fritz, and I just imagined like me walking away, not having a voice, and then her trashing me the entire time with Paige. So that's really why I didn't walk away completely, honestly.
Because you'd have still been talked about, your name would have been brought up.
Oh yeah.
And you wouldn't have it. You couldn't respond because you'd have been gone. Yeah.
So it would, from my perspective, that's why I felt kind of trapped, because you were just trying to get through it. You were just trying to drag yourself through it at that point. And you do the best you can, I guess. And again, we're all flawed human beings. So I don't necessarily like trash Haley 110%, because even though she was awful with me, like, her perspective's her perspective, and the way she feels is the way she feels. And that's fine. It's just like, just be honest. And, I even tried to pull her aside. Again, this has nothing to do with production, nothing to do with any of those things. I tried to pull her aside. I'm like, hey, can we just like be cordial, like friends, and like cut all this like tit for tat stuff out, and not put all this stress, and like just tell me you have no interest in this. And she refused to do that, because I think in her mind, she was thinking that I was trying to trap her into like admitting that she doesn't want to try or something. But like I knew, like, you know what I mean? It was all.
So that was our do you think she just came on because she just wanted to be on TV? Like, what was her end game in this whole thing, you think?
I think it was probably some of that. I had heard through she actually kind of told me this, that she was a replacement, that her friend had actually been cast, was supposed to marry me. And then last minute, her friend pulled out because she started dating somebody. Ooh. And then she said they had like the same agent or something, which I don't have an agent, so I don't know how that works. But she apparently was a replacement. That's at least what I heard. I can't verify that it's fact necessarily, but she had kind of mentioned that. So maybe that's more so why we got sort of thrown together. But I can't verify that's fact, obviously. And I don't know her motivations, and I wouldn't pretend to, but it certainly wasn't what was what she tried to portray with me anyway. So that's all I'll say, I guess.
And the viewers saw that, because she got a lot of hate because of her behavior, because between both of you, she was the villain in that situation. From what we saw, it just was very apparent that she had zero interest, didn't want to try.
That would be my perspective. I hate to go and like outright say these things and create more drama. But even like if you go back, I was constantly trying to help her, to be honest with you. Like, and I don't know if she wouldn't agree with that necessarily, but there were moments where I could have really drug her or like drug her, drug her through the gravel or whatever. And I didn't. And there was two moments that I think of off the top of my head. It was when we got into that altercation at the honeymoon, and I asked her if she was seeing somebody else. And the reason why I asked her that was because Clara had said off camera that she had basically hooked up with somebody 2 weeks before we had gotten married. And she was acting all kinds of funny right at 2 days before we got married. And I heard that. And so I go, oh, and I asked her like, well, what's that all about? And she just stormed off. So she didn't address it. So I get back to the room and I ask her, I was like, so are you seeing somebody else? Like, what's the deal? And then she tries to play the victim up with that and says it on camera that, I accused her of seeing somebody else. It's like, well, do you want to mention why I asked you that? And I refused to put that on camera because I didn't want her to look bad on television with that. She did not appreciate, it was like over the head, didn't appreciate that at all. And even like the bracelet thing. If you notice when they do the jump cut of me asking for the bracelet, the camera's not pointing at anything. It's like a blurred film because they put the camera down. And I would ask her, about it sometimes after we were done filming because I wasn't trying to like put her out about it. And then so if you notice, if you go back to the jump cut of me asking about the bracelet all the time, it's never showing us. It's never, because the cameras again were down, but apparently they were still filming, which I would assume always. So, but that's why, because I was trying to actually just get somewhere with that without having to throw her under the bus, because I saw what I saw. And apparently most of America kind of agreed with my perspective.
We all saw what you saw. Yeah.
But, she wasn't seeing it. So yeah, it is what it is there, and that's.
So I'm guessing that you have zero contact with Haley.
Oh, no, yeah.
You're not best friends today.
Yeah, absolutely not. I blocked her on every platform that I'm on, I think, available before the show ended. Yeah. So that was that.
The only couple standing now is Brianna
and Vincent, yeah.
Yeah, and Vincent. Are you surprised that they're the last couple
from
your season?
No, I actually, that's kind of what I expected, to be honest with you. And this is not like a slight at any of the other women, but I always perceived Brie as like sort of the most put together, intelligent, and like was ready for a commitment and that sort of stuff. There was some, what I would explain is college sorority behavior from a few of the others that you didn't see in Brie. And I felt like that they had the best shot sort of early on.
They seem a very solid couple. Do you keep in touch with any of your castmates? Who are you close to in the cast?
So now that I moved to Ohio, a bit less, but we have a group chat that we use every now and again, just really the guys. Some of the other girls I follow, on social media, but I don't I don't really communicate with them like that. But yeah, we have a group chat, but since I'm in Ohio now, there's no getting together and all that stuff. But Eric's getting married in August, so we'll all be at that wedding. Most likely, at least the guys will. So
yeah, okay, cool.
The guys in Brie, I would assume.
I'm not. I wonder if Virginia is getting an invite.
No, I doubt that.
We're doing Married at First Sight. Where are they now? So what has changed since we last saw you? So you said you moved. So tell me about the move.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Lorain, Ohio, and I moved to Atlanta because I used to work for Macy's. They had a main data center down there, and so I had transferred down there. I had since now don't work for Macy's any longer. Was working remote during COVID, and then like right when I think it was like, I can't remember if it was a year. No, it was a year after. So it was after the show had aired. My mom had gotten diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's her second time, dealing with cancer. So there was a sense of urgency that I felt to, move back closer with family. She's since good. She's, gone through treatments and it's in remission. But that sparked my move back to Ohio, which is, it's fine. I know Ohio gets a lot of flack, but it's good to be back around family and friends. So that's why I moved back. I still work remote, so that's good. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Now I'm just sort of rebuilding everything. So I've had this house that I'm in now for roughly about 6 months, and I have about 50, things I want to do, and sort of working through that. And as far as like where am I now with dating and stuff, I've dated somewhat here and there, but I tend to take long breaks between dating because It's exhausting.
That's good. It was nice catching up with you, Jacob.
No, it was great chatting with you. I appreciate it.